Lance Hall here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. Happy to welcome Ann Autumn of Upon Wings to the program tonight. Ann, how you doing?
Hey, I'm great. How are you? Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. And as always, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me as well. You got a new single out called Eternal Way, came out March 26th, I believe, and
Yep.
just hit a whole bunch of digital platforms as well.
Yep. It's available now, so you can pretty much find it wherever you listen to music.
Yeah. Some pretty big name players involved in this as well. Tell us how you hooked up with everybody for this song.
Yeah, well, so I've been working with Kevin Jardine a lot. He's like, producer and stuff like that from Slaves on Dope. That's his main band, and he's great. So we recorded the track and everything. And when I was finished, I just kind of felt like making it more of a duet would kind of help tell the story.
Mhm.
So I was like, who could do this? Who would really help tell the story and really bring the song to life? And Ralph Sheepers from Primal Fear, I actually just discovered him last year.
Mm.
And I could not believe how amazing his voice is. I mean, Primal Fear's Metal Commando, their latest record, I was just like, I cannot believe that this person, exists. His voice was so amazing on there. So I reached out to him and I was definitely nervous about it, but I thought, well, maybe he'd be willing to work with us and lay down some vocals. And thankfully he was. So that's how he got involved. And then also Kevin was going to lay down the guitar solo because he's a lead guitarist. And then he was like, my buddy is in town. Do you mind if he does it instead? He was like, my buddy's in a band called Falling in Reverse. So I was like, yeah. So that's Max. And he's their lead touring guitarist. And I was so amazed by his solo. It just sounds so awesome. So I was so happy with the job that he did. And it was really fun to have him involved because he and Kevin are good friends from a long time ago.
Very cool. And then you got Glenn Brown involved on the mastering, just coming off a Grammy win for what was it, Best Bluegrass Album, correct?
Yeah, definitely. And Glenn has been involved from the very beginning. I mean, when I first had the idea for Pen Wings and started writing my own music, this was like 10 years ago, I went and met with him and he and I worked on a song together that features like a lot of synths and stuff like that. And it was the first single that I ever put out. And so he's mastered all of Upon Wing stuff, every single song that we've done up until now. And I'm so happy because he has been nominated for a Grammy many times, but he finally won this year. So he won for Billy String's Best Bluegrass album, which he produced and stuff. So yeah, I'm super happy for him.
Very cool. Super talented guy to do, the type of music that Upon Wings does, and then bluegrass as well. That's a pretty good, range of genres right there.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. That's something I often think of with him. He mixed a long time ago. I guess he mixed the a Spinal Tap record from the actual
Really?
band Spinal Tap. Yeah, and
Huh.
so I mean that's more the rock stuff. But then a lot of the stuff he does is also not like that. It's more the bluegrass. Or I mean, he just does all different genres. And
Yeah,
so that's definitely takes the skill.
definitely. Now you got a video out as well. Is this something you shot yourself? Do you have some help with it?
I had some help. Some of it I shot myself, and some of it I had some help with. So yeah, the video just I was very happy to get Ralph in the video because he is in Germany and
Right.
I'm here in the States. And so I thought, well, maybe he can, shoot something. And sure enough, he did. He shot footage of him singing the song and it
Yeah.
looked really awesome. So we spliced that in and then just some, footage of me singing and a little bit of the band and stuff like that. So far people seem to be liking it. I always get nervous to put out new material because you work on it and it's like close to your heart and everything. You don't really think about anyone else hearing it. And then you put it out there and it's like, oh, other people are going to see and hear this.
Right. And it's such a instantaneous world too, with social media and everything. And like you say, it's close to your heart. You put it out, and then all of a sudden, people come back at you with stuff, which can be helpful and it can be hurtful. Both ways. You've really got to put yourself out there and have the ultimate trust and faith in yourself and a very thick skin as well.
Yeah, I know. It's definitely, I think no matter what business you're in these days, if anything is online, that's how it is
Yeah,
now. I mean, yeah, it's just a whole different world with
right.
anyone being able to comment and be anonymous and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Same way with, reaching out to Ralph to do this. I mean, this is the analogy I've used in the past. Can you imagine, if it was the early 70s and this group Led Zeppelin put out this song Stairway to Heaven that you really liked, and you want to get a hold of Robert Plant and say, "Hey Robert, I've got this song," can you imagine, the way the curtain gets pulled back nowadays, on so much stuff, and there's so much community, I guess is what I'm looking for in the music world, that I think is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I do think that artists are more accessible now. And I think that the online presence and just the way that the industry has gone, has helped that happen. So that is one really good thing about it. I mean, to be able to just email someone or just, reach out to someone or find their contact from someone, I mean, you're right. That wouldn't happen with Zeppelin back in
No,
the
or
70s.
Sabbath or any of those groups,
Today, actually, I probably couldn't speed dial Robert Plant.
There's a couple of scenes in the video I had a question on. There's one scene that plays out a few times. You're sort of standing in a field, and I looked at it closely. It looks like you're by some railroad tracks, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there sort of a symbolism there? Are you trying to cross the tracks, or was it just an outdoor scene that you liked?
Well, it was an outdoor scene that I liked, and I liked the idea of the railroad tracks kind of like longing for someone, when I think of I love trains. I just I don't know, something about trains I just absolutely love, but kind of longing for someone. But also for me personally, if I don't know, I mean, how do I put it? If I'm in a mood, sometimes I like to just, go walk along a train track or something like that. I just think there's something beautiful about it. But I was waiting for a train to come. I was like, I really hope a train comes so we can get some train footage. And a train did not come.
Oh, bummer. That would have been very cool. And then there's another, it's real quick in the background. There's sort of this stand behind you, and it looks like there's like, varsity letters pinned on to
Oh,
a wall or something.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's in my room. And it's funny because it looks like U of M. I'm not sure if people outside of Michigan don't always know the different schools, but there's University of Michigan and then the rival is Michigan State.
right.
And it looks like University of Michigan logos or whatnot, but it isn't. It's actually photo passes from, I also do, or I did concert photography when there was live music. And
Okay.
so I had those are some photo passes that I just put on my wall. But it's funny because I went to Michigan State. And so people are always like, yeah, U of M. And I hate to break it to them, but
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's what I was trying to pick on it, because I knew now you have a master's in theater from Michigan State, correct?
yeah, yeah, you did your research.
I did. I did. And that was the other thing I was going to ask you about the video. With doing theater and everything, you certainly seem very comfortable in front of the camera. You have a way of looking in the camera that's really good. So I know your theater background would probably come into play. But have you ever done like any modeling or anything like that?
No, thank you for asking. Not really. I mean, I definitely have always been a theater person. I love theater. And when I was getting my master's, I did do a lot of camera work. Like they kind of they were like, you're someone who would be good on camera more than maybe stage.
Mm-hmm.
So I did end up doing like a lot of camera work and stuff like that. But it's neat. The one thing that I love theater and acting and stuff like that, but the cool thing about Upon Wings and about making your own music is that you can kind of talk about like your own experiences. You don't have to be a character. Now,
Right.
there are some bands where people are kind of take on a different persona, and
Mm-hmm.
I can see myself writing a song that would maybe take on a different persona. But for the most part, I love the fact that you're not acting, you're like being yourself. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Were you like a journal writer as growing up? Did you keep
I wasn't really. I mean, I wish I was. That would be cool. But I have a
Yeah.
few journals from them, but not really. No, I
Yeah.
wasn't a big journal writer.
So with lyrics, I've it fascinates me songwriting, because I've poetry was never my thing. I can write a story, I've never even attempted to write a song. I'm fascinated with like lyrics and how do you come up with them? Is it personal experiences, or a line comes to you, or you're walking by a train track and a thought comes in your head? How does it work for you with coming up with lyrics for songs for Upon Wings?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, for me, some of my best lyrics actually have written in the middle of the night. Like I'll wake up and I'll just have some lyrics come to mind. And so some of my best lyrics have just happened that way. And then some really bad lyrics can happen that way too. You always have to wake up the next day and look and be like, ooh, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
Or on the other hand, oh wow, that really is what I was trying to say. So a lot of times it's that. A lot of times I'll come up with an idea, or I'll have kind of bits of poetry type stuff lying around too to help develop an idea. But usually it starts with kind of a theme or a main lyric for the song, and then I kind of build it around that. But it's not something I can force. I can't sit there and say, okay, today I'm going to sit here for 8 hours and I'm going to write this lyric. I just can't force it.
Very cool. Now, when it comes to singing, you started singing at a very young age. I think it was after seeing Cats, the musical, in Toronto.
Yeah, definitely.
You took some voice lessons. You also did classical voice in college. And then I read you listened to a lot of opera as well. Did you ever try singing opera at all?
Well, when I was training, I sang opera songs. I mean, that was kind of what I was, the style, I guess you'd say, that I was trained in. So growing up throughout, I mean, I started vocal lessons really young, but especially in college, I sang different opera songs and stuff like that, which I love opera and I love musical theater. And I just fell in love with all those 80s blockbuster shows. And you mentioned Cats. It's really cool that you saw that, or that you researched into that. Yeah, Cats is right after I saw Cats, I became just a crazy singing little girl. But yeah, so I mean, I was trained in opera, which is why when I fell in love with rock music and post grunge is the first stuff I ever heard on the radio. Yeah. And I was like, wow, I want to do this kind of music, but I thought I couldn't because my voice is just so operatic. But thankfully, discovering bands like Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and some of the symphonic metal bands out of Europe, I was kind of able to find, oh, here's a genre that I think I can create music in that's heavy and I can still have my natural voice.
I was trying to do the timeline, and I may be way off on this, but I'm thinking if you saw Cats in Toronto, wasn't it in Toronto where Paul Stanley did the Phantom of the Opera for so long when he was up there?
I don't know. I mean,
I was wondering if you ever saw that,
Cool. I definitely saw Phantom of the Opera many, many times, and I saw it in Toronto with Cole Wilkinson.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm not sure when Paul Stanley, I didn't even know that he did that. That would be cool to see.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna have to look that up online.
Yeah, I can't remember when. I should have researched that part of it. But yeah, he played the part for a while, and I want to say it was in Toronto. I could be totally off. I know, but I could be off on that one. But I know he played it.
Yeah, that is really cool. I can totally see that.
Yeah. Now you talked about getting into the metal stuff and all that, but I also understand you were a big fan of the Monkees as well.
Yes.
Great harmonies, great tunes. They're timeless,
Right. I mean, that was when I was a kid, they would run reruns and stuff like that on TV. And I don't know, I just latched onto it and I really liked the Monkees as a little kid. And so I think the first official concert I went to was the Monkees at a fair. I feel like it was a county fair that my parents took me to because I was so obsessed.
Wow, that's wild. I don't know if you know this. Here's another bit of trivia. I think on his first tour, Jimi Hendrix opened for the Monkees. It didn't last long. It didn't last long, but he opened a couple shows for the Monkees back in the 60s. So
that's wild. That's
yeah. But you also come from a family of performers and your mom was a theater major. I think I read your dad wrote a novel, and you have some grandparents who were singers and in theater and stuff as well. So your lineage is definitely there almost from day one.
Thank you. Yeah, my mom was a theater teacher and she taught English and stuff like that too, but her big love was theater and directing. You're right. My dad he wrote a book and he's I mean, he was an educator as well. They met at school. They both worked at the same school, but his passion is definitely writing. So I have arts in my life, definitely. My grandparents too, who passed away when I was really little, but they had musical talent, you know, as well.
So from day one, has music been the total direction you've gone in, or was there ever a thought of, you know, a doctor, a lawyer, hairstylist, anything else, you know, sort of a fall back on type thing, or has it always been music and theater and acting and arts?
No, I mean, for me, I actually like science and math a lot. So in college, my first degree was an engineering degree. So I've definitely had different, you know, passions and that sort of thing. I'm not someone who is just like, all right, I'm just going to do music. I'm going to major in music, blah, 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 blah. But I knew I would always come back to it. And I knew that I wanted it to be the main focus and main thing in my life.
Oh, so. Engineering, that's cool. That's a great fallback, you know?
Great fallback. I think it changes so much so every year that I don't think I could fall back anymore, but I'm glad I did it, you know? I didn't think I could. It's one of those things in life where I thought, oh, this might be too hard. I don't think I can. So if anything, it was nice to do something that was challenging.
Yeah. Now you also play bass. I read you bought your first bass at like a locally owned music store.
Yep. I play bass. I haven't played bass on any Upon Wings tracks yet, which I would like to do, but it's difficult for me with singing and playing bass at the same time because the bass lines are the opposite of, you know, the vocal lines and the melodies and stuff like that. But I love the bass, and I remember I wanted to pick up an instrument because I grew up with all this vocal lessons and stuff like that, but I never took lessons for an instrument. And so I tried guitar, and I'd like to try it again at some point, but it just did not feel natural. There was something about it I just did not like. So I tried bass, and I could not believe how much I just loved it. I love being able to actually feel the strings and not use a pick, which I don't use a pick at all with the bass. And it's just one of those things where the instrument seemed to be a good fit for me, and I have no idea why, but it was.
Do you find like you know, I didn't know this until you just said this, you know, with the bass line kind of running opposite of the vocal line and stuff like that, or, you know, in a different thing, do you find it uses, like, I don't know how to ask this, really, a separate part of your brain to do each? You know, you must have to channel one thing for vocals and one thing for bass. It must be like a really good brain exercise, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. I do feel that way. I mean, I do see there are obviously people out there who can do both, like a Geddy Lee or something, you know, some people who can play bass and be the front person in their band. I think that's amazing. But for someone like me who hasn't been playing since I was a little kid, I don't think I could do that. So, but whenever I see a singer, bass player, I'm just like, wow, you have my total respect because that is so hard.
I remember the first time I saw Rush, I looked down at one point and Geddy was singing, playing bass with one hand, keys with another, and foot pedals. And I'm like, my God, you know?
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That man, he is so talented.
Definitely.
Wow.
Definitely. Yeah. And their stuff's not easy to play, you know?
Right. Right.
I also read a story. I'm fascinated to hear this one. You went into, just before you went into record, I can't remember if it was a song or an album or something, you actually came down with a bout of laryngitis.
Yes, I do remember that.
Was it like physical or nerves?
It was physical. I definitely was sick. It wasn't anything but that made it even worse because it wasn't a mind over matter or whatnot type thing where I could just will it away or positive think it away. So, that was terrifying, but I got some advice from the musicians who were around in the same studio, and they told me, you know, to do the steam and tea and all that stuff. And thankfully I was able to still do the session, but it was scary because it was kind of, sometimes, I mean, it depends. Sometimes I'm able to record stuff on my own. I have a home kind of studio set up, but this was a situation where we had like rented the studio space and we only had a certain amount of time. And so I could not be sick for our only studio time.
Yeah. That must be terrifying. I mean, your voice is your instrument, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So to get back to Upon Wings, I want to give your website, www.uponwings.com. You know, you're outside of Detroit. You know, when I think of Detroit, I think of Motown. I think of, you know, Iggy and the Stooges. I think of Detroit Rock City by Kiss. You know, you guys are sort of like a goth, symphonic, hard metal. Are there many bands like that out there in Detroit? Much of a scene out there, or are you kind of on your own?
Yeah. I mean, there is a really broad scene in Detroit, and definitely people think of, when they think of Detroit, they think of Motown and they think of all those great Motown artists, and people I think of the White Stripes sometimes, you know, and bands like that. But I don't know of any other symphonic type metal bands out of Detroit. There probably are, but there's a great metal scene here, I believe, and a lot of good rock bands out here. So it's definitely, there are different genres throughout Michigan too, not just Detroit, but it's moved away from just that. So we definitely don't feel alone here at all.
Cool. So you've got this single that just came out and the video. What's next for Upon Wings? Not that I'm trying to rush you.
Well, we have been working on a new EP and it's been released incrementally. So Eternal Way will be on the new EP. And then last year we recorded a version of Amazing Grace with Corey Lowry of Seether. And so that will also be on, we never actually released it like properly on all the different Spotify and all that stuff. So that'll be on the upcoming EP as well. And then some other new tracks. So the next thing is hopefully to get the EP out there sometime this summer.
Now, do you have a group of musicians that you play with? You know, you had a lot of guests and stuff for this song. Do you have a set band that you play with, or do you kind of get guests to come in and play?
Yeah, well, I feel like Kevin is kind of my set band, our producer Kevin, who plays guitar on most of our stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, we kind of have rotating members, if that makes sense. The special guests, that's usually just a one-time special thing, even though I would love to work with them all more than that. And who knows, you know, maybe down the road. But as far as like the special guests, like Ralph or that sort of thing, yeah, it's not like it would be awesome to have him come out on the road with us, but that probably wouldn't happen. But you never know.
Who would be your dream band to go out on the road with for a tour?
There are so many. I mean, I love Disturbed and Five Finger Death Punch. I actually don't think that would be a bad fit for our band, even though we're a little bit more symphonic or whatnot.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I don't know if delicate's the word, but I think that would actually be a pretty good fit.
Yeah. Now you sort of duetted with Ralph on this song. Is there someone who would be your next dream duet partner? Let's go with male and female.
Male and female.
You know, if you could do a duet with a male and then you could do another song and have a duet with a female.
Yeah, I guess with a male, Rob Halford would be amazing. Yeah. Female, it's hard to say. I don't know if I'm thinking about whose voice would complement mine. I guess I'll go with Lizzie Hale because she's so nice and so supportive and so talented and has just a great voice and amazing guitar and everything. So I think it would be an honor to do something with her.
Yeah, she's definitely an amazing talent. We want to give, I'm looking at my notes here. We haven't talked about your drummer at all. We got to give the drummer, Peter. How's his last name pronounced?
I cannot pronounce his last name to save my life. So I can't help you out there. But he's also
Peter.
Yeah, Peter. He's also in Slaves on Dope with Kevin. Okay. So he's come in and recorded drums on a lot of our tracks. Let's see, definitely Turn Away he did. He's on the upcoming EP. You Are My Weapon, which is one of our earlier singles. He did drums on that. So he's great. He is a fantastic drummer. And he and Kevin, they work so well together because they have both been in that band for so long. So it's cool. You can definitely tell when they play together that they kind of have that vibe.
Very cool. Talking with Ann Autumn, lead vocalist for Upon Wings, new single Eternal Way out now. You can check out the video on YouTube. Singles available on all the digital platforms. And it's time for our fun questions now. I'm hoping these are questions you've never even been asked before.
Oh, wow. Well, hey, all the questions have been fun so far. So.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
What we're coming into summertime now. What is the quintessential summertime food?
Food. Ice cream. I could live on frozen yogurt or ice cream just all year. I eat it when it's freezing out. It gets real cold up here in Michigan, as you know.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I still have it all the time, even when it's like 0 degrees out. So I would say for the summer or any season.
Cool. What clothing style, currently out of style, would you like to see come back into style?
Oh my gosh, that is great, because I actually wrote a blog post about this recently.
Really? I have not. I didn't see that. So.
Oh, I would like flare jeans and low-rise jeans to be back. I hate high-waisted stuff. I always have, and it's been in fashion for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it should definitely change again at some point soon, because it's been in fashion way too long, in my opinion.
Okay. If you could pick a television show to have an Upon Wings song placed in, what show would you pick?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would say a cheesy Hallmark movie, because I actually really like Hallmark movies. I don't know how it happened, but I actually, it's like my guilty pleasure. Yeah. And I think it'd be cool to hear an Upon Wings song on one of those.
I think it would fit perfectly. So let's put it in a Christmas one. And I see you've recorded some Christmas songs. What's your favorite Christmas carol?
God Rest You Merry Gentlemen, which I recorded kind of a hybrid kind of version of that, but that has always been my favorite, because I love how it's kind of a darker Christmas song, and it's got the minor key and stuff like that. So.
And I did play that one, and I agree with you 100%. That's the same reason why it's always been my favorite as well.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah. It's just got that dark element to it. Favorite toy growing up as a child?
I've always been a stuffed animal girl, so teddy bear, any stuffed animal.
Okay. First car you bought with your own money?
Let's see. I'm assuming I don't know if a lease counts, so I'll just go with the car I actually bought. But a Grand Prix, white, beautiful Pontiac Grand Prix, and it lasted for a long, long time, like up into 235,000 miles with hardly any repairs. And then I cried when I had to get rid of it last year. I cried like a lot.
yeah, you get attached to them, definitely.
Yeah, totally.
Is there something you've always wanted to learn but just never had the time?
Probably sewing. I actually did learn sewing for a while, but I forgot how to do it now. But yeah, sewing. I think it'd be cool to just sew my own clothes, and I like all that stuff. So maybe one day.
Cool. What's the oddest job you've ever held?
Well, my first job, I guess you could say, was kind of odd. I don't know if I've had any like really weird jobs, but my first job ever was a gift wrapper.
Okay.
At Macy's, or actually it was Hudson's back then, but yeah, so I was a gift wrapper, and I learned how to properly wrap a gift, which actually is a good skill I've learned to have now.
That is a talent in itself. So yes, I agree with you. I can't wrap my wife does beautiful wrapping. I can't wrap for crap. Last one. This is the one we have the most fun with. If they were to make a biopic of your life, what actress would you have play you? And it's your movie, your life. You can pick anybody.
Oh, wow. I think I'd pick Hendrix, because people have like come up to me on the street and like at restaurants, and they've told me I look like her, which I think is a big compliment, because I think she's beautiful. Yeah. And I think she's really funny and stuff. So I mean, that's the first person that comes to mind, Hendrix. Nice. That's a great question.
And is there anything that we haven't talked about, a question I haven't asked, something you've wanted to mention that we haven't talked about in this interview? The floor is totally yours for the moment.
Well, thank you. This has been really fun. Thank you for the awesome interview. And you covered pretty much everything. Just make sure to check out Upon Wings online and follow us on Spotify. That would be great. Just search Upon Wings, uponwings.com. Head there and you can link up on our Facebook and Twitter, which is just Upon Wings. And then our YouTube is Upon Wings Official. But if you go to uponwings.com, you can link up on all of our social platforms. So if you follow us and stuff, that definitely helps to support.
Very cool. And with being an independent artist, you're probably very hands-on with your social media.
I am. Yes,
Cool.
absolutely.
Awesome. And I thank you very much for your time tonight. I had a blast as well. Wish you much luck and success in the future. Is there any plans? I mean, I know everything's on hold right now. Any plans to do, you've never played live, I don't think. Is there a plan to somehow put this band into motion and somehow play live at some point in the future?
Yes, I would love that. I think especially with the EP, depending on how things are with live music, it would be great to do a release show or something like that. So I will keep you posted, but I definitely want to get this band on the road. It's been so crazy, obviously, with all the stuff this past year, and everyone's been off the road. So it wasn't the best year to try to do that.
Yeah. Yep. Well, let's hope everything gets back to normal and performers can get out and perform, and us people who like to watch can watch, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And thank you very much once again for your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you so much. It's been great.
Take care.
Bye.